Okay, here we go. How about a little David Brent to start?
Okay, here we go.
How about a little mute on that? How about a little David Brent to start the weekend for us? Or at least the Friday. The weekend's not quite here, but we're almost done. Maybe some of you are already. Hey, welcome. If you haven't joined before, this is the Voice and Robotics podcast. That's David Brent from the BBC office. I think the last two shows now have started off with an office clip, or at least a GIF. So I'm going to do that because I think we can get away with it without any copyright infringement, and it makes me really happy. So last week, if you're just joining, last week we worked on reinforcement learning, teaching a robot, which is this little dude right here, teaching a robot to move around, and now we're training a model, or we trained one last week, where the robot will actually move towards a target. And so it took about 8 hours at least to train. I didn't get the exact time, but I know it took at least that long. And so we made this a two-part series where we can go now and check the results. So spoiler alert, I've already checked it, it works, but I want to show you so you can see it. And then what I think we'll do with the rest of the time is we'll play around with that model a little bit, but we can start to think about things like telling the robot to go to the kitchen, for example. Say Alexa, go to the kitchen, or Alexa, find a water bottle. Maybe we're building a environmental robot that cleans up litter, so maybe it's find trash, something like that. So once we have this model, there's a whole world that opens up to us that will let this thing navigate autonomously. So let's get started. Hey, we've got people here. Saturday Eve, that's right, Trinity. What's up, Ice Cream? It's been forever. I was wondering if you were still around. I did see you went live earlier, or you were watching something yesterday that I was watching, so it was good to see you. Or maybe it was this morning. But yeah, glad to have you back, man. Are you going to be at Reinvent? I hope so. We can hang out again. All right, so last week we did Object Tracker. Now this project right here is under Resources, Download Samples, and then number 5 here. So if you want to follow along at home and do this at home, you can. If you are at Reinvent and you want to do some of these things, but you're kind of worried about the cost, come find me and I'll probably have extra credits. So credit codes that will give you, I think it's $100 on your AWS account. So if you do want to try some of these, now this one probably took, I would bet, $5 to $10 worth of usage. Maybe not even that. It's likely in the free tier anyway for new accounts. But anyway, if you're there and you want, I'll probably have some extra hard cards with me that you can take and then use for credits. That's a slow, oh yeah, that was a slow robot, Trinity. So it was David Brent doing, I'm not going to do it, but doing a very slow robot. All right, so we did Object Tracker, and again, it takes a long time to train. So now what we're going to do is go to, let's see, we're going to go to Run, Launch Simulation. So we did Train Model last time. We're going to do Evaluate Model. And Evaluate Model, what you can see going here behind the scenes is compiling all the dependencies, bundling them up, uploading them to S3, and then running a simulation. So it'll take about a minute or two for that simulation to kick off, maybe 5 minutes, and then we can check it out. And so that'll be the first part of what we do today. And the second part will be to try to change the world up that this robot lives in. So ideally, right now it's in a blank world. They call it just an empty plane. So it's just a blank plane. The robot can move anywhere without hindrance. We'll add a few hindrances to it and see what happens. What I would like to do is start to recreate something. Now that might be a long stage. So if we were doing a presentation at Reinvent or a summit or something, we could have this robot, the robot that you saw earlier, the iRobot, and we could have it, know what the stage looks like, know where a podium is or a chair is or a microphone stand, and then work its way around it. But we'll see about that. There's also a few other resources we can look at that we might play with. So we might do the same experiment, but put that robot in a house or in the bookstore. And we'll see how it works. So that's what we're going to try for the second part of today's episode. Ice Cream, my chat crashed and I missed it. I did see that, hey Startup, how are you? I did see that you wouldn't be there, but I didn't see the reason why. So sorry about that. My chat refreshed. So if you want to tell me again or tell me offline. But yeah, sorry I'm going to miss you, but hopefully we can get together again soon. So let's see how this is going. So simulation is preparing, and then as soon as it gets to running, we'll log in. Startup, welcome. Thanks for joining today. By the way, this tutorial that we run, it's under, if you go to Resources, and then let's do, where do we need to go? Well, I know it's here, this Resources. So if you scroll down under RoboMaker Resources, if you go to RoboMaker or aws.amazon.com/RoboMaker, you'll get to this menu. There's tutorials here that are really good to go through. There's some videos. So this video is one you can watch that will show a lot of what I did. It's pretty good. There's some other ones that I haven't tried yet that you might want to try. This is probably pretty important too if you're building like you have a pretty complex development environment or development cycle, this will give you CI/CD, like a pipeline for making changes and pushing them automatically. Oh, so Ice Cream can't make it because he'll be at Reinvent at Project Voice in Chattanooga. That's awesome. That's really cool. I bet you some of our people will be there. I don't think I'm going to be there, but that's really cool. Hey, Jenny, welcome. Happy Friday. Jenny, how's your project coming? We want to see some APL from you. Or I do, at least. All right, let's try this. Simulation is running, so we're going to go to Simulation, Applications, Gazebo. So what we'll see here is an empty world, and we'll see our little robot. Remember, it's the turtle or the turtle bot. So right there, it's already been running, but it starts here at this blue line. Let me make this bigger here, and I think we can zoom in. Let me see how it looks. Yeah, you can see enough here. So this is the waffle pie, and it's a turtle bot with a camera on top. The camera's looking for its little buddy, and there's its little buddy. So we can kind of trick it now, and not to be mean to it, but we want to test it and make sure it works. Let's go to an overhead view. Let's zoom out a little bit. Let's see. There we go. Can we see that? Let's take it, and we'll click this move icon, and then we can drag. As soon as it resets, we're gonna move it around. You know, I don't like the overhead view. Let's go back to this view. Nope. What was the good one we just had? What's the default view? This? I guess we could go back to this view and then change the angle by dragging. Is that right? Yeah. There we go. I think Control drag does something. Alt drag. What is it on the Windows? Definitely not that. All right. Well, I'm going to go back to the top-down view just so we can see everything. So we have our robot. It's moving towards its target. Now, again, remember, this could be us launching it with our voice, just with the Alexa Skills Kit, sending a message to the robot saying, Alexa, find my waffle or my burger. We're going to take burger and move it now and see what happens. So I'm going to move the burger over here. And now it's confused. It's going to look around. It's going to spin a little bit. And then hopefully see it and go towards it. And it does, which is great. So there are a lot of applications here, and this collective brain will be much better than mine, but you'll have some good ideas on how to use this. So this model that we've made can just be dropped onto the robot now, which would be really cool to drop that on and then have a target. Now, for it to work the way we're talking about, where it finds bottles or it finds trash or it moves to a certain part or room, it would require us retraining the model, but that's okay. That's what RoboMaker is for, to train models. We also train multiple models at once, so we can take the same code base, tweak it, and then train in parallel, and then put those models on the robot. Project is almost done. Stay tuned. Yes, I'm excited. Alexa, find my keys. That's a great idea, Trinity. I need that. Find my wallet, find my keys. So let's try to trick this thing. I still don't like this view, so let me close this down. Let me see. Yeah, there's a way to do it, to reset it without doing this, but I'm going to do this anyway. We're going to disconnect the simulation and relaunch it. So let's just launch it again. Because what I want to do is now put objects in front of it. Before we do anything else, I want to put objects. And I think what we should try is we'll put an object in front of it and see if it can find it behind objects. And then we will change up the world. So then instead of that flat world, we'll have, let's go with, what do you guys want? You want the bookstore or the house? I think you want the view on the far right that looked like a 3/4 view. Okay. Just wanted to know about the Raspberry Pi 4 desktop kit from Startup. I saw something on this yesterday, Startup. Let me see. Raspberry Pi desktop kit Alexa. Or maybe it's 2 days ago, but I didn't have a chance to pay a lot of attention yet. So, it's a kit, though. Let me think. There's another search term we can use here. I think I saw it on Twitter, but I didn't try pre-built. Startup, if you're able to paste the search terms, I don't think you can paste the link, but the search terms, we'll search it here and we'll find it. Unless you're asking about just basic like setup, which you can look at this blog post and do that. And if you're going to be at Reinvent, there is a whole workshop based on this too. All right, so Trinity says house. We're going to go with house. Let's see if this is running. Not quite. That's okay. So while this house, or while it's learning or running, let's check this out. A house world with multiple rooms and furniture. Okay, for RoboMaker and Gazebo, which is perfect for us. So we're going to drop that same searching robot into this house and see what happens. But first, let's go check this out. Still preparing. Oh, we gave paste URL permissions back. Just don't abuse it. I can't see that link startup because it's on the other computer. So let me check here. Maybe that'll help, and I can get the search terms at least. Let me try this. Whoops. There we go. What's inside the Raspberry Pi 4 desktop kit? What is inside it? Raspberry Pi 4 desktop kit. Hopefully it's this looks like the same thing. Yeah. Okay, yeah. There's something else too that I was thinking of. Startup that has some built-in Alexa like wake word engine in it. So basically, it's the same thing. If we look at the robot, I've got. Let me make sure I've got the right view here for you. So right here, I'll just move this. So I have a Raspberry Pi. It's not from the kit, but it has the same components from that kit. Maybe a couple of extras actually, but that's okay. So I have the kit. It has a thing called a Sense Hat on top, which lets me work with these LEDs. It also gives me some GPIO inputs and outputs. I have a camera here. This is the Raspberry Pi 2 camera. And I just have a portable battery, so lithium-ion battery underneath, so I don't have to have it plugged into a wall. That way it can live on the robot, travel around with it. It's the brains for everything that happens. So everything we're building in RoboMaker that we want to use, we can just put it on the Raspberry Pi and it will work. So this kit happens to come. I haven't seen this one before, but it's the 4 gig model, which is great. If you're going to spend money on a Raspberry Pi, get the 4 and get at least the I think 4 gig might be the max. This one comes with a keyboard and mouse, which is good. I haven't seen that before, but it's probably a small version of a keyboard and mouse, which you'll want cables, power supply, case, and an SD card. Let's see. Why doesn't the waffle need to relearn the house environment to find the burger? So what it's doing, let's go look at it now. It should be ready. Let's go to applications. No, what do you want? Applications, Gazebo. And then Trinity, I'm going to try your 3/4 trick too and see if that works once this loads. You know what? I've done this before where if you maximize the window first, it doesn't get happy. So let's do this again. We need to let Gazebo load first. Load first, and then maximize the window. So it's scanning and looking for a picture. It's trained on the image of the burger, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't look deeply at the code, but I think that's what it's trained on. That's how it finds it. So if we were to, for example, if we put, we're not gonna do the whole house just yet. So let's put a bookshelf in here. And whoa, I don't want it way back there. Let's put it up here where we can see it better. Can I turn it? Let's rotate. Yeah. Whoops, I don't want to rotate that. I want to rotate this. There we go. So we're blocking it from view. But it knew where it was, right? Before this, it still looks like it's stuck. Let's move the burger. I don't want to rotate burger, but I want to move the burger behind the bookshelf. I think it knew. I think it's stuck. Let's move him back then and see what happens. Okay. Kindly share the link to the components which you're using. Sure, I'll show you those. So I don't know if the simulation resets after I drop the bookshelf in or not. I don't think it does. I think it physically digitally sees it still, even though this bookshelf's in the way. That's why it knows how to get there, but it can't get there because the physics engine is stopping it because this has a collision boundary on it. But if we move burger again, let's go over here. Let's see if this activates without any of my help. Or if we move this out of the way, what happens? So he's looking for where it was, it can't find it, and I think it's going to spin around here in a second. But I think Trinity, I think it does learn the environment. I think, well, maybe not. Because that bookshelf moved and it went past where the bookshelf was. But it did find it here. It looks like it's going to find it. Okay, so let me paste real quick the links and we'll get to this house. So what you need is a Raspberry Pi 4. Actually, get everything on this kit. So just find, this is the easiest way to do it. this is a good list. So I believe the list startup, the YouTube link startup pasted will take you to this, and we'll show you what you need here. Then the other thing you'll need is the Raspberry Pi Camera 2 module V2. So everything in startups, we'll just say in the YouTube list above, link above, plus this camera. That'll get you everything I have, except for the SenseHat. So SenseHat is this. You don't need SenseHat for this project. I had a couple laying around from an old project, and I threw it on here, but you won't need it for this. It's fun to have, though. But you can see it's relatively old. It's 2015. Raspberry Pi SenseHat. So grab that if you wanted to. It's cool. It does colors. You know, some features it does have that will be nice is it's got a little joystick here. It's got an accelerometer. It's got a gyroscope. It's got temperature and humidity and pressure. So it does some cool things that you could probably think of some neat applications with. All right, so we've got that simulation. Now it's in that flat world. Just to show you again the flat world with nothing in it. Let's make it the house. All right. So the way you add new worlds to your projects. It'll tell us here most likely. So update ROS install to clone this repository and run ROS workspace update. So let's move this over here so we'll have it. Oh, all right. And I think ROS install is going to be probably in the root. Maybe it's in the simulation. This is going to be us learning together because I haven't done this before with RoboMaker. I don't see a ROS install, but we can just clone it ourselves. So let's do that. So when you find a package you want in ROS again is a robotic operating system. You clone it into your source directory. So let's open a new terminal. I'm gonna open it up here where you can see it better. Let me close all of this. Close other tabs, and we'll do a new terminal. And I believe you can see that font. Startup, and you don't need that kit necessarily. They're bundling it all together. There may be a discount if you bundle it, so that's something to look at. But if you already have the keyboard, the mouse, then it's just extra cost that you probably don't need to spend. Any USB keyboard or mouse will work. So we're going to go to Object Tracker and Simulation Workspace, and then Source. We're going to git clone this repo. That's okay. Don't show me that again. Oh no, maybe I do want you to show me. Oh, I can just do Control V. All right. So we're cloning that. Let's, I believe we can just, we'll just pull this down. I don't really want to close that. So we've cloned the repo. So the instructions were telling us, let's go to, let's see. Instructions tell us to use ROS install. We don't need to do that. I couldn't find that file. So we're going to do it ourselves and run ROS workspace update. So let's go here and do ROS workspace update. Can you see that? Yeah, I think so. ROS workspace update. Did I spell it right? Yep. So what it's doing, it's grabbing that repo. It's pulling out anything it needs to pull out. It should be anyway. Yeah, I think it did. So object tracker simulation. Oh. Yeah, I think we're okay. Let's just make sure there's not a ROS install file here. I think we're all right. Yeah, that's where we want it. Okay, so then we want to add this to our launch file. So what is a launch file? The launch file is, if we go to work, let's see, configurations. Let's view the simulation job details. So that simulation we're running, it's kicked off by a launch file. The launch file we'll see details for here. Networking, simulation. Okay, the launch file is called evaluation.launch. So it's launching a package called Object Tracker Simulation, which is right here. And then inside here is a launch file called evaluation.launch. So we trained it on local training.launch, and we're going to change the world in evaluation. I'm not sure it's going to work, but we're going to try it anyway. So in evaluation.launch, here are all the arguments. It sets parameters. It sets like your region, your job type. We're doing an evaluation, not a training, etc. We're going to add this block right here. So we're going to add this world. Now, somewhere in here, it might be showing us an empty world. Let's create world.launch. I think create world is probably, yeah, it's launching the empty world. So we don't want to launch empty world. We want to launch, we can put this here. Whoops. We can put this, include file, find this package, find this launch, find that. Okay, that looks good. And then these args, I'm going to paste them in. I'm going to paste them in here. So let's move this. Let's put these args here. Basically, I'm just telling it, instead of launching empty world, I want to launch small house. That might be all we have to do, really. But we're gonna go back and make sure that the repo is not telling us to do something else. All right, load directly into Gazebo. We don't need to worry about that. Build for Rust. Let's do that. So if we go back to our terminal, we're gonna say ROSDEP. Let's go back here. ROS dependency install. This is a command we've used before in a previous episode. This will just install dependencies for us, make sure everything gets added, all the dependencies get found and unpacked. So we have the, let's see, it's the ISP contest, right, Alexa? ISP challenge. So who all here is working on that? And does anyone need any help or have any questions? All right, so we're letting this build. It's done. Then we're going to do a colcon build. Build is just going to place everything in the build folder for us. And then we're going to package it up, and then we're going to send it off. So sometimes you'll get these errors. I think this is okay. So it gave us some standard error. Zip safe flag not set. That's all right. And then we want to do, I think we just need to do colcon bundle. So this will bundle it up. And once we have this bundle, we'll copy it to S3, and then S3 will point to it from a simulation application. So while it's doing that, I'm going to make a new, the bundle takes some time sometimes. So I'm going to make a new S3 bucket for this. So I'm just going to open a new terminal and say AWS S3 make bucket. I'm going to call it jeffnunn/rl. Okay, so I have that bucket now. And as soon as this is done bundling, we're going to copy it to that bucket. I'll go ahead and copy this. Now this bundle's going pretty fast. Sometimes this is the most painful part of testing and evaluating and experimenting and trying new things, is waiting for this part. So if you're smart, you'll have multiple environments you can do. You can have one bundling and another one working on code. Entry date was Tuesday, already passed, so it's only bug fixing. Who has bugs they need help with? All right, so the bundle is almost done. So once the bundle's done, we need a, I'm going to let that go there. We're going to create a new, we're going to clone this job. So this job ran and ran just fine. So when you have something that works, you want to keep it working the same way. The thing is, this uses this simulation application. We need to upload our bundle that we're making right now. We need to upload that to this. So we're going to open this up. Here's the application, or tracker simulation. Where did it put it? It put it in an S3 folder. And I may, let's see where if it shows us exactly where. Sources, output tar. Oh, so there's Jeff Nunn RL environment object tracker. So it's right down there. If you can see it in the, oh, you can't see it's hidden. See if that helps. Hey, Jalwork, how are you? Late arrival from the UK. Happy or good evening. Okay, so it's you can't see quite maybe, but it's in this bundle is in here. So we need to see if we can. What happens if I click on this? Okay, so it's right here. We just need to put it in that same spot. So I'm going to take this, copy that. I'm not sure if this will work or not, but we're going to try it. All right, still bundling. This is the last step, though. Right before it finishes, it says creating bundle archive v2. It'll take a few, maybe another minute, and then we will be able to copy that to that S3 bucket. So it goes to the S3 bucket, we make a new simulation version, we re-clone the simulation that was running, and we see if we live in a house now instead of a flat plane. And then the last thing, if this works, which would be great on the first try, but I'm sure if you've ever coded before, you know how that works. But if it does work on the first try, then we're going to try to change that turtlebot into a robot. We want to change it into a Roomba, I should say. So there's a model for this. In fact, if we go back to the simulation that's running, do we still have it? Yeah, we can actually add. If we go to Insert, we can add all sorts of things. A bowl. What's a bowl look like? Bowl. A little doggy bowl. But there is a create or a Roomba iRobot create right here. So there it is. So this one's white. The first create was white. The second one, it's black and green. So that's why mine looks black. But it essentially operates the same way. This one had a different cavity in it where you could add things. So now one trick I see is to use the dustbin on these. So if you have a Roomba, you know where the dustbin is, but it pulls out and there's a cavity there, and you can 3D print containers for it. So if you have, let's see if I can get it out. If you have a 3D printer, then you can print holders for your Raspberry Pi and all of that. So that's that. So ideally, I want to have the house world, and this Roomba in there. That way, everything matches what we have, and then our testing becomes very real. We can say, Alexa, go to the kitchen, and watch the Roomba go to the kitchen. All right, let's see if this dude is done. Still creating the bundle. I lied when I said it was another minute. Maybe it's longer sometimes. I do know the first time you run bundle, you can see there was no... Well, I don't know if there was a bundle directory or not. There may have been. When there's already an existing bundle, then it doesn't have to update as much. So if we do have to bundle again, this process won't take as long. If you are around the week of Thanksgiving, don't forget, I'll be doing a show from iRobot. So we're going to do a show from iRobot with the... Look, there goes the little waffle pie looking for his buddy. I'm going to do a show from iRobot with the team there in their lab, and we'll talk about how they use the Roomba, how they use the Create, what new toys they have or surprises they have. We might even do some live coding where we live code into an actual Roomba, and then if you have one at home, it'd be really cool for you to try and say, hey, I watched them build this, and look what it does. All right, here's the bundle. By the way, that shows on Tuesday of Thanksgiving week. It's at 1 Eastern. All right, so it's created this. Now we need to copy that file. So we're going to do AWS S3 CP, copy, bundle, output tar, and we want to copy it to this directory. So jeffnon-rl environment. So S3 jeffnon-rl environment, and then there were some more steps after that. I think we can just copy and paste. So object tracker simulation. Let's see if this works. Object tracker simulation. Good. That's going to work, which is great. That makes it life a little easier for us. So I logged into Twitch to get started today, and there was you know how they feature a video on the homepage? It was a guy playing some new Pokemon game. Did anyone else see that when they came to Twitch? And I really almost got sucked into that for too long because I've never played Pokemon, but it did look fun. I think the music was my favorite part. It's real soothing. All right, so we have the tar file uploaded. So all we need to do now is update. Let me make this. There we go. All we need to do is hit update. What it will do is it'll look in that S3 folder and it'll say, hey, this file is the same as the last one. I'm not going to update it. Or it'll say, oh, it's new. I'll create a new version. So we should see. Let's go back. Simulation applications. This. Create new version. This is the button I want. So if we hit this and we get a green bar across the top, that's good. Good. A new version was created. So now what it has is our world, our house in there. Assuming we did everything right, then we should see it when we relaunch the simulation. So let's relaunch that. So let's stop. We'll disconnect the current one. Then we will... Oh, we need to clone. So let's go back to simulation applications. This one. Oh, sorry, simulation jobs. That's running. We're going to clone it. And we're just going to verify these settings. I don't think there's anything I need to change. So we we put it in evaluation.launch because we just changed the world there. So I think everything's good with that, and off it goes. So it's preparing here. It'll be a really good sign if we see created. It'll be a very bad sign if we see failed, but we'll see what happens. Ice cream. I've been playing around with skills launching from Alexa routines. Lots of triggers such as time of day, location, Alexa button, etc. Wonder if you could work something like that into your project. Oh yeah. So, a routine. Lots of triggers such as time of day. That'd be a really cool one too. Something I've thought about before, but I haven't got very far in to anything is how cool it would be to have a couple of these. I don't know, where I live, I have 2 trash cans, a recycle bin and a trash bin outside. So how cool would it be to have a heavy-duty version of the robot, maybe this one will handle it, where a time of day trigger on my trash day is Thursday, so Thursday at 7 a.m., it rolls them out, it knows the path to take to get them to the street. That'd be pretty cool. So that's a good day. Location. So Ice Cream, when you use location codes or location triggers, is it the user's location, like where they are? I'm sure there's a good use case for that. Button would be really cool. Really, just to have, I don't know if the iRobot skill does this or not, but just to have a routine that nightly runs this for an hour or so. All right, we got it failed, and that's okay. We can look and see why. We'll give this, what time is it? 30. So we'll give this a little bit before we try to change and go back. So when you have this, and this will fail whenever you're doing this yourself, you're going to run into this issue. Just go to logs, blow up the font a little bit, and then look at the simulation logs, and it'll probably be a pretty simple thing we can fix here. So applications, no handlers, unused args. That should be okay though. I don't think unused args should make it crash. But let's change it real quick and just take those args out. So if you remember, the args were in evaluation create world right here. So we're going to get rid of these unused args. Do that. So now it's just finding small world house.launch. And let's look at that to make sure everything looks good. So what it does, it uses this command called find, and find finds this package. The package is AWS RoboMaker small house world. Then it looks in the launch folder. Then it looks for small house launch. Let's see what's happening in here. So include file Gazebo Ross, which is built into the Gazebo directory, and then it's putting the args here. I think we're okay. Include file empty world name. Oh, that's interesting. So I wonder if we can just take this. If we go back to, if we change this back, can I change it back? No. Evaluation.launch, create world. Let's change this back for a second. Kind of get it back to where it was before we started. Okay, so it's launching empty world. World name is empty world. Look, I think all we have to do is this. We just need to take small house, copy, paste. That should do it. All right. So what we need to do, if you remember, we're going to go back to the here. We're going to do a colcon build. So we're going to rebuild everything real quick. This part doesn't take long at all. Then we're going to do a bundle. The bundle should be faster this time. Colcon bundle. Because it doesn't have to update everything from scratch. Let's see. Job work. In the UK, we have loads of bins. Rubbish, paper, cans, glass, and green waste. All collect on different days. Your robot's going to be busy. And we need a lot of them, it sounds like, too. Or if you reuse it, rubbish, paper, cans, and glasses. Wow, that's some serious... So you're taking care of the sorting for the company, which is good for them. Yeah, it'll be busy. They'll need a charging station at every like we could make these what are like Tesla charging units where the robot backs in, charges. It needs to like lift up the trash can and then move it out and then come back and move it down maybe. It'd be fun. Someone wants to be an entrepreneur and build that. Look, the bundle's done, so we need to do the copy again. So we're going to do AWS S3. We can just go back to this, copy it. While it's copying 1.1 gigs, we're going to go back to RoboMaker and simulation applications. We're just going to hit create new version here in a second, as soon as this is done copying. The Trinity says, Oh wait, I'm gonna go back to Ice Cream. Ice Cream said you can set routines based on arriving or departing a location. Yeah, so based on Alexa Companion app. So you have to have the Alexa Companion app. You know, and we've been in the context of this Roomba the whole time. There are, you know, obviously a lot more robots, so it doesn't have to be a delivery robot or something like that. It could be a gadget. There are a lot of cool things. I love the way it's all tying together, though. All right, that's done copying. And we want to create new version. Create. Good. Simulation jobs. We're going to clone the failed job. It's okay to do that because we've updated the simulation, so that's... we're not cloning anything bad. Hit create. We'll give this some time. And then Trinity says, have your robot bring you your paper when you arrive home. Yes. Trinity, do you still take the paper? I kind of miss the paper. That was my favorite thing. Well, not my favorite thing, but I love getting the comics out of the paper when I was a kid. They still make comics in the paper? Because I could get back into that. Let's see. Ice Cream. I didn't have time this Halloween, but you can also base a routine off of a Ring security cam trigger. I was going to build a skill that made a pie trigger a jumping Halloween scare item. Make a screaming sound and it would get recorded to my Ring. That'd be great. Please do that for next year. I would love to watch that. Trinity says, no way, but that's the thought that counts. I don't know, maybe we should. Like, it's important to support good journalism. I was doing it for a while with Washington Post and the New York Times, and I've stopped those, but I do need to support it more. But maybe doing the paper version is the responsible way to do it too. Yeah, Ice Cream. I think that'd be really fun. A whole porch full of enabled triggered Alexa devices. All right, so we want to see created or running. We want to see running here in just a minute. While that's running, let me give you one more pro tip. So just make sure your jobs, when you, like, you know, we had those windows open. Just because we close the window doesn't mean the job is closed. So I'm going to go here and close these out. This will save you money when you're doing this yourself. So just hit cancel on these. You can see I have a lot of jobs that have been running for off and on as I get ready for Reinvent. So at Reinvent, I'm giving a workshop on how to do not all of the things we've been doing together, but a real micro or a packed version of how to build a robot that responds to voice. So if you do happen to show up, then come see me. Looks like it's running, but we're going to close this one really quickly and then go check. Okay, so simulation application hopefully is running. We're going to launch Gazebo. You can launch Gazebo from here too. There are also other tools you can launch. Sometimes they're really helpful, especially our Qt for looking at logs that are on the robot, or Terminal to interact with the robot. All right, we want to see a house. No, is it a house? Yeah, we want to see a house. Don't see it though. Why don't we see the house? Is this the right job that's running? Running and Gazebo. It's probably something simple we missed, but we're going to check it again. All right, so we're still seeing the empty world. Oh, that says failed. Why does that say failed? Oh, that must have been the old one. Okay, we're in the empty world. Let's see what we missed. So the launch file again was RoboMaker small house, and then no, it wasn't. It was object tracker simulation evaluation.launch, and then this is the evaluation. So that's things we don't need to change. Then the next thing it loads is this create world.launch, and that's an object tracker simulation. So create world.launch, it goes here. It's including the empty world, but then it's saying the world name should be small house. Object tracker simulation worlds. Let's see if worlds is in here. Oh, it only has empty worlds. Why didn't this fail? This should have failed. That's okay though. So what we're going to do is say, instead of finding that, we're going to say find AWS RoboMaker small house. I believe it's world. Let's check here. Small house world. So now we're telling it to go to this directory, look in worlds, and worlds contains small house world. And we're going to try it again. Maybe something didn't happen. Did I not save it last time? So I saved it this time for sure. We're going to call con build. then we're going to bundle, and then before we launch call con bundle, we're going to go close this. We're going to close this one out just to make sure we have no collisions or we're not getting confused. And I say we, I'm throwing you into this too, but it's not your fault, it's my fault. Make sure we don't have anything, you know, tricking us. So everything is closed out. So we're going to let that go. Bundle is about to finish. Let's get that window out of the way. Trinity says, okay. All right. Keep going. Bundle. Bundle like the wind. And there we go. So we're going to copy it up to S3 again. And then we're going to go back to this simulation application. All right. We're going to wait just a little bit for this upload to finish. And then we're going to create a new version. All right, so let's create a new version and create. And then let's go to simulation jobs. We are going to actions, clone. Let's just make sure everything's right. So in the simulation part, it's going to go to object tracker and then evaluation. Let's look at this again. Object tracker, which is here, and then evaluation, launch right here, which is going to take us to create world.launch, which is going to launch, start here, but add a world name of this, so smallhouse.world. If this doesn't work, then what I'm going to do is take this and replace it right here. But I think this should work just like this. All right, so everything looks good in our simulation. Let's create it, and let's hope for the best. So Ice Cream, are you doing anything at that conference? Are you going as a presenter or anything, or are you just going as a participant? Simulation job is created. We're just waiting for this to say created or running. I still like the idea of the triggers, so maybe we should think of something for this project to use triggers. Does anyone have an idea? So we have a Roomba, basically. We have Alexa triggers. What would be a good trigger for this thing? What if it was a pet almost that came? So if we use that Ring doorbell example, I don't have a Ring. I have an old Ring actually. But what if we had a trigger on that, and the Roomba was almost like a pet that would come greet you at the door whenever you opened it? Participant says ice cream codes, and thankfully I've been speaking at several conferences lately. You know, it's a lot of work, the speaking and the presenting. It is fun, but it does take a lot of your time. So I'm sure that's not your real job, and so I'm sure it was a lot of extra time. So I bet it is a relief just to be a participant. Oh no, we failed. Let's see what happened here. We have 15 minutes. We can figure this out. Okay, Ross path, everything invalid arg, AWS RoboMaker small house world. RxML, is that doesn't look bad. What is wrong with that? So I did this, find AWS RoboMaker small house world. Why is that invalid? That should not be, but it obviously is. So let's figure this out together. CloudWatch. All right. No handlers found. That's fine. That one always happens. While processing, create world at launch, invalid arg tag. It looks like it just stops there. It doesn't continue the rest of this. Arg XML is that. I think that syntax is just fine. So if I go to if we go to our environment, we can do ROS. Where's my bash? Here we go. ROS pack find. Let's do list. And let's look for anything with AWS in it. Whoa. So there's all of our packages. One of them should be, is one of them object tracker? ROS pack list, grep, object recognition messages. Is it ROS pack that I want? It's probably something else. I'm looking for the packages. I want to make sure it can find this, but create world is having trouble with this right here. And all we did was change this from Object tracker simulation. You think it's the dashes instead of underscores? I wouldn't think it would be, but we're going to change this. Let's break anything. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to copy. We're going to copy small house world and put. Oops, I don't want to drag it in there. We're going to copy it. We're going to put it in this world. We'll trick it. So then we're going to go back to the way it was. Instead of saying empty world, we're going to say small house world. And we're going to build and bundle, do the whole dance again. Colcon build. And we have to do this because we moved something, and so the bundle needs to know that it's moved as well. All right, and let's go make sure this is canceled, which is great. Simulation application, we're going to create a new version of that. Let's see, participant, okay, good. Jawwork, do you really have to take out different bins on different days? Like, how many days a week are you having to do that? That sounds like a pain. Can't imagine. It's enough pain here to get it out on one day. I have an Alexa alert, actually. It wakes me, well, it doesn't wake me up, but it goes off at 7 a.m. to remind me it's trash day. Okay. We're going to S3, copy this up to S3. Good. And we're going to wait just a second for this. Does anyone not understand the process? At least I know the errors are maybe confusing, but annoying at the very least. But the process of having an application, creating a new version, and injecting it into the simulation. So it's a new version. We're going to go to jobs. We're going to go back to this one. We're going to clone it and kick it off. And all we've done is copied the world that we want over to the world's directory that it knows. We know it can find this empty world. So now we're saying, instead of launching that one, I want you to launch small house. Ice Cream says our bins are on 2 different days. Trash one day, recycling another. One gets adjusted if it's a holiday week. Yeah, for whatever reason here, they don't skip holidays. So the poor people have to work on like a Christmas Day or a what was the last one I was surprised? Oh, I think July 4th was on a Thursday this year. And so I didn't get the trash out. I figured no one would be running it, but what day was it? 2019. Yeah, it was a Thursday. But I missed it, so I had to wait an extra week. And then recycling, we're having some issues with recycling. So now you have to opt into recycling, and they give you a different colored lid for the bin. So now it's a yellow lid, but I didn't opt in because I think it was probably in the paper. I don't get the paper. So I didn't know that you had to opt in. I missed that, so there's a whole mess. Trinity says ours are up to 3 bins all the same day. So this is a problem we need to solve somehow. We just need a better sorting and recycling where we can put everything in one. That's what we need to build the robot for. All right. Created, preparing still. So on my Reinvent presentation, I started off with the TurtleBot. So do we still have that open? I don't think we do, but the TurtleBot. And I wanted it to be the Roomba's coming with me to Reinvent so we can show how it works, how you can communicate with it with voice. So I didn't want the Roomba on stage, but a TurtleBot in the simulation. So I was able to change that. So we're not going to get to cover that here. We might do it in another episode, but it doesn't take a whole hour to do. But what's happening is when it launches, it is looking for this robot description. So it's looking and it finds this folder, TurtleBot 3 description reduce mesh, which is here. The mesh is just like the shading and the texture of the robot. So it's pulling this definition file up. So if you look at one of these definitions, let's look at this URDF. TurtleBot 3 waffle pie. So here, I think we may have shown this last week, but here are all the joints and all the XML that builds the robot. So I've got that converted to a Roomba. So that's fun to do too. But I don't think it's worth the whole episode. We might try it off to the side. Trinity says, Amazon should pick up boxes and recycle them, especially with them doing more direct deliveries. That's a good idea. I wonder if even like full-on recycling would be a good business for Amazon to pick up the trash cans too. But I do like the idea because I'm sure all of us here probably do get their fair share of Amazon packages, and it's a great idea, Trinity. All right, I don't like that weird text, but let's see. All right, we're running. We need to end this Friday on a good note. I want to see a small house. Dremel. Look at that, Trinity. You wanted a small house, you got a small house. Awesome. So now, look, it's going to the burger. Let's do this. Okay. You said one of these was a 3/4 view. Maybe this one? No. Well, let's just kind of sit tight and see what happens here. So it's looking for it. I wonder if it's getting confused by the other objects. Let's see. I'm really afraid to touch anything. I'm not going to touch anything. I want it to go by itself. Far right. Okay, we're going to try that in a second. Oh, look, there's perspective. Wonder if this drop down orthographic. Oh no, what have you done, Jeff? Perspective. All right. It looks like it's getting to it, but it's not directly going to it. I wonder if the colors of the carpet or other objects are throwing it off. It might be doing a lot of processing. So there is a way to... Actually, let's try this real quick. We have a few minutes. We're going to let that keep running. And we're going to open this other tool. Our Viz, I think, is what we want. I think there's a way to access the camera. So let me get this loaded in one window. We can see it moving around, it's looking, but I think there's a way to access the camera. So, I've done it before, but nothing's looking familiar here, so maybe it's not this tool. Is it RQT? Let's try RQT. So I'm going to close RViz, RQT. Let's get this little dude back. Alright, so plugins, robot tools, services, topics, visualization. Here, I think we can search for this real quick. RoboMaker sample view video output question mark. Gazebo. Okay, for example, using RQT to examine image data. That's what I want. RQT to examine image data. When running a simulation is paused, it is paused. Okay. There's a way to reset the angle, so that would have been handy for me to know earlier. Well, we know it's an RQT. Let's go back to the RQT then. That's not what I want. So there's a simulation. Here's RQT. All right. So we have file, it's not file, plugins, actions, configuration, introspection. It feels like it should be under visualization. Let's go to image view. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, I remember this. This looks familiar. There we go. Camera RGB image raw. Oh, look at that. How cool is that? So this is the image. Where is it at? You see over here the robot moving by this weight? All right, let's help it some. So we need to get a little bit of room. Let's move the waffle. Let's put it over here. Let's see if the view changes. Okay, good. So it's spinning around, it's looking. It sees a face of somebody. Oh, go left. There we go. There's your burger buddy. Well, without me knowing exactly what it's looking for, and I don't know what to tell you as far as what's throwing it off. But it is really cool that we got this world working, and I like seeing this camera view. This is fun. So, yeah, I think that's a good stopping point. So what we would do in a real world, I would love to rebuild a room, like a real room or a real house, or even just a stage. So we can think about that, how it would be to rebuild it and then really train it on an environment that's as close to the real thing as possible. So we would measure out distances and things like that. There are some tools for that make it easy, but that would be something to explore on a further episode. But I think this is a good place to stop. So again, the way we incorporate this with voice, as you can see on the left one here, we could say, tell the robot to go to the refrigerator, and if it was trained for that, then it would go to that. I would go to the front door to get Trinity's paper, or maybe JAWWorks trash bins outside, so it could go out and move those around. All right, so that's reinforcement learning. There's no show next week. as we prepare for Reinvent and then the special show on Tuesday. So about, 9-10 days from today is going to be the episode for my robot. We'll tweet it out and make sure that you all get a heads up on that. Seems like the background, I agree, seems like the background makes it difficult for it to recognize the burger. I think that's a problem, but I'm not sure. Well, I did mention this earlier, and this is probably it. One thing, I'll do this. As soon as we hang up here, I will kick off the training again. Remember the training trained on a empty world? We'll train on this world. I'm going to train on this world and see if it works better. So now we've seen how it acts in a new environment where it doesn't know the world. I'll train on this world and see what happens, and I'll report back. All right, thanks everyone. Thanks for the questions. Great to see everyone, and I hope you have a really good weekend. I'll talk to you next time.